You just can't win. Well, welcome back to the shop. Today we're back on the Mustang. Really the only project I've been kind of working on. I spent a little time this morning just off camera, just getting some stuff done. I didn't really feel like filming. I got all the steering components off. I've been going back and forth on what I want to do and how I want to do it, but I think for right now I'm just going to leave the manual steering, which is what the factory box is. Eventually I'll probably go to power steering. I'm just not completely decided on if I want to go to this kind of slave style hydraulic ram with this little servo motor thing on the drag link. I kind of want to do a more proper newer style gearbox, steering column, and all of that. And I'm also just looking for cheap and easy right now. And I kind of like old factory cars with manual steering. Like they're actually quite easy to drive. So that's what I want to do. I did put a set of headers on here. I don't love them. Nice set of stainless headers, supposedly for a 66 Mustang. I had to take a hammer to them to get them to kind of fit. Passenger side wasn't too bad, hit the shock tower. The driver side hit the shock tower in 2 spots, hit the steering box pretty bad, so we got all that in there. Next step is I need to put oil in it and prime the oil system, get the pump flowing and everything. Need to put spark plugs. When I get to that point, I want to try to start it. So, okay, first thing we got to do, we got to get the set of carb studs in here so we can mount it. We got 2 different bolt locations. Hollies are always the outer ones. Whatever you do, don't drop anything down the intake. This phenolic spacer. It's going to help with heat soaking from the aluminum intake into the carburetor. Carburetor will get crazy hot like the intake, and then it starts messing with your fuel. Fuel will start overheating. I forgot to put the gasket on. When the fuel starts boiling, you end up with vapor lock. It's vapor locking, you're not getting any fuel, and then you're just not going anywhere. You might have been wondering, if you watched back a couple videos ago when I put the intake on the engine while I was sitting on the ground, the engine was level, but the intake was leaning forward. And that's because when you put it in the car and the engine's leaning backwards, then your carburetor ends up being pretty close to level. Alright, let's see. Let's go ahead and pull the distributor out, and we're going to put oil in it. Oh, we got to put the dipstick in. I had to get a little creative. I don't know if I explained this in the other video, but some of the reason why I went with this aftermarket pan, oil pan, is the factory Fox body engine block has the oil dipstick tube back here going through the block into the pan. The problem is it's a rear sump. I have to have a front sump in this car, So now that dipstick is not actually, if we were to use the factory Fox body, the dipstick's no longer in the pan that has all the oil in it. Well, the factory 289 or early 302s, this front timing cover, or the water pump bolts too, had a dipstick provision in it, and so they're mounted in the front. Because I'm trying to run all the Fox body accessories, I don't have that dipstick. So the best way I could find is with this Canton pan, it has a option. You can buy it with a dipstick that's built in the pan. Of course, you got to buy the dipstick separate, but that will allow me to have what we need. Pretty much a universal setup here. It's just a piece of tubing with a dipstick in there, like a piece of brake line tubing, honestly. Got a compression fitting over here, so you can thread the fitting into the pan. You can adjust your overall dipstick height, and then we will need to cut. We'll need to cut this to get it just right, so that we're in between our add and our full lines. A 6-quart pan, so we need to put 6 quarts in, so that we can set our height that we're doing. Once we got that done, prime the oil system, spin it over a little bit, and get oil flowing everywhere. Alright, I opted to run this Driven HR5. I've never ran this particular oil. I do have their Driven, I don't know, the LS. I think this stuff's specially formulated for LS. I'm running it in the Scout. It's been helping with a lot of my weird lifter noise issues. But this hot rod oil here specifically has the zinc that's needed for flat tappet camshafts. Now this has a roller camshaft and roller rockers in it, but I prefer to run this. It's best to run zinc, either some kind of zinc rich oil or a zinc additive with regular oil in these older engines. I've left the valve covers off simply because I want to make a mess, apparently. I forgot how shallow the heads are on these Ford engines, and I just spilt this stuff everywhere. Put too much oil in and it all overflowed over the header. I was really just trying to kind of soak some of this. But it looks to me like we're just going to make a mess. Alright, I just thought of something. Kind of an idiot. Struggling to fill this up. We got to pull the distributor out so we can prime it. I can just fill it from the distributor hole. Not using my brain. I'm going to put this tool, lock it down in there on the oil pump, put the drill, and get oil pressure everywhere. And you should start seeing it come out of these holes, or not out of the holes, but out of the push rods. Am I spinning that backwards? Push rod.
Three days later.
Well, we're back in the shop on the Mustang. We got a pile of parts. We have a pile of parts. Well, we have a box of parts, small parts. Should be everything to fire this engine up. The only thing I don't have that I gotta make or kind of figure out is the battery cables. I'm pretty sure I have something laying around we can work with, but got fuel lines, we got some more carburetor parts, we need to put distributor plugs and wires in it. Got radiator hoses, but I'm not too worried about that. I really just want to see this thing fire off and make some oil pressure, make some noise, the right kind of noise out of the exhaust and not noise out of the engine. I've got new oil pressure sensor, all that stuff. The wiring's a little bit questionable. It's a little bit old. I'm not gonna redo it because that's a can of worms. I will probably clean it up later, but for now, we're just gonna get it running. I wanna make sure this engine's good, doesn't have any crazy noise, it's not knocking or nothing like that, and we will go from there. I guess first thing I need to do is I need to set it back to top dead center so I can stab the distributor. I've got this AC bracket just kind of sitting here. I was trying to see, I think I can make this factory bracket, and I have to get a different compressor. This one's locked up anyways. Get a serpentine pulley and run with that since I'm not running power steering. The only questionable thing is, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but the pulleys are leaning back with the engine and the compressor pulley's like straight up and down. Like you can actually see how it's kind of level, and then the engine center line with the crank and all the pulleys are leaning back a little bit. So I'm probably gonna have to shim that plate a little bit, try to get it to fit. Still got to get an alternator, but we'll worry about that later. We're not trying to drive it. We got a long road to get to that point, but I just want to see the engine fire up. Should be able to get it done on this video. Maybe not today for me, but over the next few days, I think it's possible. This is probably kind of boring stuff for y'all to watch, so we'll probably time lapse some of it, just because putting plugs and building wires and all the little tedious stuff. This is the last 10%. If you remember me talking about the last 10%. On the OBS build series, this is where we're at. It's not quite the last 10% because we got some more suspension, rear end stuff to do, but we're at the last 10% kind of under the hood. The little final details that just kind of kill you. So let's jump off and get right into it, I guess. Okay, I gotta remember it's forward, so it's backwards. So number one is over here on the passenger side. If you're not familiar with stabbing a distributor, we want number one cylinder at the top travel of the piston on top of the compression stroke just before the spark plug would fire. Because we're gonna set the piston up and we're gonna stab the distributor in and make sure that our rotor on the distributor points to the number one cylinder and that all our plug wires match up. Pretty much just got my finger over the spark plug hole. And on the compression stroke, you should see, or you should feel air coming up because you're blocking the flow. You can also look through the spark plug hole and just kind of see, like, I'm gonna back it up. We're gonna go down a little bit with the piston. Pretty much right when it crests to the top, just before it starts going back down. And you're at top dead center, ready to stab the distributor. Now, we've got a factory distributor. The aftermarket Mallory one that I had is actually for a 351, slightly different. This one has a, who knows how old Pertronix igniter. It's been converted from points. I don't trust them. I have had them fail before. So what did I do? I went and bought a igniter 2, which should be better, right? There's really not many options in terms of factory distributor with electronic ignition. Trying to avoid spending 800 bucks on a aftermarket one. So we're gonna try this. My thought is if that old original one is still good, I'll just keep it in the glove box. Worst case, we can, now I just gotta remember, what do we set the gap to? 10 thousandths to 40 thousandths. That's quite the range. Like, I don't even know what we'll just set it at 20. Sounds pretty good, right? I think the biggest reason the Mallory 351 wouldn't fit is they look fairly similar length and everything, but it's got a bigger hex on the end for the oil pump gear. Bigger engine, bigger shaft, I guess. All right, this is usually a little bit of trial and error. So the cap has a 1 on it. Technically speaking, you could kind of put it pretty much anywhere as long as your spark plugs line up, but we want to go with the 1, which is kind of pointing to our throttle there. It can be kind of finicky to get down on the oil pump drive, and what we want to make sure of is that we're lined up on 1, but we can get a decent amount of adjustment as we need to adjust the timing. So put our little line right here, we can see. So that should be where it lives, but we should get enough degrees back and forth. If you get it just a little bit off, it's okay. It's just you'll hit a spot where you swing it over and it hits the AC compressor, or it hits the water outlet. It'll hit something and you can't get enough timing adjustment. And I think they're the wrong plugs. I wonder if I ordered them for a 66 Mustang and factory 289 heads might be slightly different. That definitely is not gonna thread in there. Way too big, way too coarse of a thread. The socket hits the flange of the header, or the hex where you would put the socket hits the flange of the header. That pretty much sums up my life. I don't really want to build spark plug wires until I can like actually hook them on the plugs and then route them nicely. Yeah, they're definitely smaller. 87 to 95 is apparently a little bit different. Well, that's good to know. All right, so we got the distributor in. Save that project for tomorrow. Let's go ahead and put our new valve covers on because these look pretty junky. All right, so we're gonna get rid of these old junky stock 289 valve covers, and we're gonna throw in these mint Ford Racing. And by mint, I mean they were sitting in some guy's yard. And I originally had every intention of blasting them and painting them, and then I got to thinking, that will be the nicest thing on this car. Why go to all that trouble? And we're already off to a good start. Because they do not really clear the AC lines. There's gonna be a problem because we need AC lines. You know what? Nope, we're waiting. I'm not. Those are tall valve covers. It's gonna make it a lot easier if I just put in the spark plugs before we do the valve covers. So that kind of means that we're kind of dead in the water here. I guess we're not completely dead in the water, but I don't want to put the fuel line on the carburetor until we put the valve covers on. I guess I could put the water neck outlet. Need to mount the coil somewhere. The coil's got this long bolt that goes through the bracket and clamps it tight. I don't have the nut. I gotta try to find one of those. Trying to decide where to mount this. I'm pretty sure, I'm not pretty sure of nothing. I don't remember where it was mounted originally. I feel like it was on the engine because I used to have all kinds of heat problems with the coil getting too hot and boiling over. So here's the coil. Yeah, here's the wires for the coil. I don't think I have a single picture of this thing back in the day when it was running, or maybe, I don't even think I have anything when I took the engine out. Kind of just thinking we nail it over here. I honestly think it was like this or something. That's clearly not gonna work. I did pick up a new solenoid for the starter. Again, I can't remember if that goes down or that goes up. I feel like it should go down. Mount the coil A little further down. And my pictures don't go back far enough. Never fails. You always get burned by a gasket. You buy the housing, you buy the thermostat. You don't get no housing gasket. Absolutely stupid. So, you know what that means? We're not putting that together either. All right, we did get a new set of sight glasses for the carburetor. As long as these are the right ones, maybe we can get that put in there. Start to realize when I have too many different projects going when the toolbox is missing half the tools. Oh, we're not winning today. That little plastic piece just broke off. Great. Well, that means we get to take the front fuel bowl off, drill out that piece of plastic. But I don't know about y'all, I'm not really in the mood for that today. So let's just keep going through the parts we bought and just see what else doesn't fit. In the past, I've always done cheap things and just went with the old rubber hose fuel line. Really would rather spend a little extra money and do the nice AN fittings in line and make sure it all fits good. Fits good, looks good, and is a little bit safer too. Nope, should have known this one's screwed up. Threads are all kinds of gone on that bowl. Trying to go in there at an angle. All right, we need some kind of win. Some kind of win. Keep the motivation going. This is an absolute useless of a win, but I don't care, it's a win. Well, that's not even a win because the spring's too far away and it's too tight. That's not gonna work because it's too straight up and down. You just can't win. The broken Fox Body 5.0 oil pressure sensor. Factory 66, matched the gauge. There's not enough room where the block is and the oil filter. I now remember, now that I'm seeing it and actually holding the stupid thing in my hand, you have to thread on a 45 and a little nipple and kind of bend that thing up out the way. So that now makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 strikes for this day. 6 with we have 2 on the carburetor. I don't even want to get into trying to find starter cables and battery cables, and I'm over it. I'm gonna go inside, I'm gonna eat some dinner, I'm gonna go to sleep, and we're gonna press the reset button and we're gonna try again another day, because that's just, some days the universe is against you and that's okay. It's frustrating, you just gotta pick up and keep moving. The only win we got the throttle return spring on there. Absolutely useless for right now. Literally the last thing we need. That's really only needed for driving and hooking up the throttle pedal, which I haven't even got that far yet. But I just bought it because we're here. Might as well get it. So before I come back, I gotta find a nut for the coil bracket. I gotta get a gasket for that. We gotta fix that fuel bowl. I gotta find another fuel bowl for the rear or try to clean that up. I gotta get the right set of spark plugs. This is what I'm talking about, guys. It's the last 10%. Every freaking time. I don't care who you are. If you've been doing this for years, I'm willing to bet there is not a chance that you can get to the last 10% on a project and just nail it. Like, you get all the right parts, you get every part, no extra trips to the hardware store. Like, I'd be willing to bet money on that. Not a lot, because I don't have any, because it's all sitting right back there in that car at the moment. But I'm just saying, like, it's not possible. I'm not usually one to say it's impossible, but I do think that's impossible. The only way that you could possibly achieve that and prove me wrong, in my mind, that I can see right now is like, you literally only put together 66 Mustangs or whatever it may be, but you do a single, you're just constantly doing the same thing over and over again. You've got it like completely down to a T, you know, where everything goes. Like, that's just not, I don't see it. I really don't see it. I might literally have to go buy a freaking fuel bowl. Is that even possible? This is quite unbelievable. So we have this one here that's bent. You can see it got like dropped, and it's now like round on one side, square on the other. That's custom with a K right there. Then we have this one. Again, you probably can't see it. The light's probably too bright, but the threads are all screwed up right there at the beginning. And then you have the one on there. Once again, the threads are all screwed up right at the beginning. So maybe I can get a little pick or a file and I can try to clean that up. I don't know if, there's no way you can rethread that, right? Like, I don't even know what threads that would be. You definitely ain't gonna rethread it. This what, look, this will happen here at some point. Strip the heck out. Why I kept that? No idea. It's useless. We got more and more parts. We got fuel tank stuff. We got some fuel on it, some fittings. Fuel filter, pump rebuild kit. All of that's probably wrong. A whole box of these, because you can't really seem to buy them individually. That's the fuel cam for the oh, the little squirter valve on the carburetor. What do you call that thing? I had this problem the other day. Power valve. It's not the power valve. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You probably don't, actually. What's the thing called? The little squirter here. Accelerator pump. There's supposed to be a little cam back here mounted to this plate. There's a couple different bolt holes. You can rotate the cam. So as this opens, you'll notice idle to wide open. This does not move because there's no cam in there to actually push it. So if you change the different color of the cam, different cam height, depends on how quick this moves, how much it moves. It's just missing. No idea where it went. Couldn't really find any info on what size needed to be there, so I just had to buy the kit. And that stupid thing is freaking $50-something. Like, I'm not a big fan of Holley anymore, and the directions they've gone and how big they've gotten, but I feel like this is like a prime example. Like, how is that $50? All right, guys, we're back in the shop. Today's a better day because we're back on the Mustang, and as you've seen a few seconds ago, the last time I was in here working on it was a total disaster. So I've done a little bit off camera just because I wanted to kind of get some things done and jam out to some music and just not really focus on filming. So I was able to clean up these threads here with the pick and get this in there. I got a fuel line fitted. I got both of our new sight glasses. Had to take this bowl off and hammer and chisel out that old one. I got the right spark plugs and I got them in. I got our valve covers on. I started getting some of the wiring done, but my phone's dead and I've got to do a little bit of research and figure out what a couple of these go to. I think these might be like the alternator, and I'm thinking maybe this one is the coil. I can't really remember. I can't remember how these get wired in. So I'm gonna have to sort that out. I did get a gasket for the thermostat housing. We'll get to that later. Right now we're gonna do spark plug wires. We got a fresh set of custom plug wires that we can put our own ends on and kind of route them nice and neat. I opted for the custom ones with my name on it. Nope, just kidding. If you know, you know. That's a specific brand, but it just happens to be my name also, so we're rolling with it. I like these kits because you get a couple different options depending on what kind of distributor you have. And I'm not a big fan of like pre-made ones because they just don't fit like I like them. So these take a little bit of doing, but we're just gonna get into it and knock it out. They've already got the spark plug side on them, and if you'll notice, they're all kinds of different lengths so that the longer ones go to your back cylinders and the shorter ones go to your front cylinders. I always like to start back to the front, so I'm gonna get rid of our short ones here, and we're left with 4. What I can't remember, and my phone's dead, is what the firing order of a small block Ford is. I really want to try to run these kind of around the back and then up underneath the carburetor and towards the front. But I guess if we're going to do that, we're going to have to start with the long ones at the front. Let's just see if we have enough room to even do that. I think we do. This is not a hard job, it's just you want to take your time and lay them out however you want to lay them out, however long that takes you. The longer you spend here, the better off you'll be in the end. And putting the ends on really is not that difficult. All right, we might get in a situation here where we can't do what I want to do, because these might end up shorter or too short. All right, so we could do it 2 ways. We can go to the back, we can go to the front. The front means a lot shorter, but then we're rolling all of them up around the front right here. Don't know if I like that. If we had 90-degree plug boots, we could go down through the headers and then come out the bottom. That would look a little bit cleaner. Pretty sure the factory, they just come over the valve covers like this, but I don't really want to do that. That's actually what this little tab was for. There was a little plastic holder that clipped into that tab, and then it held all 4 of them. All right, phone's got a little bit of a charge. Let's just do a little Googling. Okay, I think we're just gonna be like everybody else and do it out the front. They'll be shorter, they won't be laying on the hot intake. This is where if you have OCD like me with certain things, it hurts your brain, because you can make them clean on the outsides, but you can't make them clean when they get to here, because they cross each other and they're not really in a good order. That's 1, 3. All right, 1 down to go, 1 down, 7, 8 to go, because we got to do the coil. Forgot how difficult it is to make spark plug wires, or how, not difficult, but just kind of tedious and time consuming. But pretty much all you do, you cut it to length. You need to add a little bit more than what you think because of the boot. You cut it to length, you cut the outer shield off, you're left with the inner core. You fold your inner core back over and then you crimp down. I did buy these crimpers for this job because I've always just done them with a pair of pliers, and it works, but it's not the best way to do it. It takes even longer. It's a headache because you got to crimp and you got to roll it around and make sure it's tight, and these just one and done. It's worth the $20. All right, well, I'm gonna just hit it and put y'all on a time lapse and we're just gonna get this done. All right, I got all the plug wires done. They look pretty good. I still need to put some more zip ties over here. Quick little cheap life hack for your spark plug wires. You'll take a big zip tie and wrap around them, and then some really small zip ties and put in between. You'll get a little buffer, slight gap between your plug wires. It looks very clean. I got battery rigged up, obviously not the right battery, so I haven't really made cables. I'm just kind of got some cables rigged up. I'll make a proper set of cables when I get the proper battery. I had mounted the coil over here and I did my math wrong somehow because I ended up cutting the coil wire short. So for now it's just gonna lay right there while we try to fire this up. I did put a cam over here in this so that when you hit the throttle it will squirt the accelerator pump. I don't have the fuel system hooked up. We're just gonna dump some fuel down in through the vent holes into the bowls, and then we're gonna spin it over and see if it will fire, I guess. I really don't have any good solid way to do this. Definitely not a good way of doing it. Maybe it'll get us enough to just fire it off, and I just want to see it idle. I didn't realize it's missing the squirters in the top. All right, so it's missing the actual little squirter. There should be one front and back, but no, there's not one front and back. So we just got one right here. All right, fuel in the carb. Distributor should be somewhere near ready to fire. I don't have an oil pressure gauge. All right, I've got a loose kind of ignition wire here. Hopefully, if everything goes south, I can rip that off pretty quickly. There goes nothing. Oh, do I have a bad starter? Rigged up starter cable. The heck was all of that? Are you freaking serious? A brand new little sight glass for the fuel bowl that I just tightened by hand. It just snapped and broke off. Unbelievable. All right, here goes nothing. I got the ignition bypassed here. Show y'all a little trick. Don't try this at home. makeshift gas can and a pump. The pump does operate. No idea if it pumps fuel. About to find out. Well, it's a no-go either. Dang it. Let's see if we can run the old boat hand primer pump. I don't know what kind of fuel pressure this puts out, but made for carbureted boats should be fine, right? Guys, she's idling weird. Sounded all right though. Yeah, she's not super happy, but that's okay. I don't know, I'm gonna label that a success. I mean, we got carburetor issues to work out. Need to get fuel system properly set up. Obviously exhaust. It's just draining the fuel. I think the distributor needs to be clocked a couple degrees the other way. I was hoping we could get it to idle and I could see if it's got a little cam in it. Oh, it's leaking fuel between the base plate and for some reason. All right, I'm gonna have to take that carburetor back off because something's not right. But I guess that's gonna be it for today. It does run. It doesn't sound like it's knocking or ticking or anything like that. It's just idling at 3,000 RPM. Overall, I'm happy because now I know I can move forward and we don't have a complete junk engine, because that'd be real bad if we got all the way to the finish line trying to drive it first start and then the engine's knocking or something. So at least now we know we can move forward. So that's gonna be it for me today. Thank y'all for stopping by and hanging out in the shop. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, and I will see y'all next time.